Ladies and gentlemen, SideStrafe here with a look at the ArmA 3 alpha test, and for the most part consider this a primer to future ArmA 3 content on my channel. This has the potential to be a flagship title, something that I can put right next to World of Tanks, something that I can cover on a more frequent basis for many years to come. Now, with ArmA 2, I had some issues in regards to aesthetics, which include user interface, animations, overall control, or ballistics within the game. The overall feel of the gun in your hands, the movement of your character, the lack of true physics within the engine. Various things that just over time added up that I really just couldn't put up with anymore, which led me to just look for other games, which unfortunately, while I've found some great titles to just have fun with, really haven't hit that realism spot within me, you know? Back in the day, I used to love the original Tom Clancy games, Rainbow Six 1, 2, 3, and Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon. But after a certain point in time, the console generation unfortunately just caught up with those titles and, in a way, overwhelmed or took over those companies to the point where Ubisoft felt that it was just time to create a Hollywood action genre instead of continuing with the tradition of realism. So ArmA has always been that series that's maintained its realism, that has always stayed true to its roots and continues to do so, mostly because they are an independent developer. They always have been, and hopefully they always will be, which means they get to call their own shots, which means they get to make the games that they want to make and not some suit and tie publisher that tells them what to do based on numbers. Which is why I can wholeheartedly recommend that you purchase your alpha access. I will of course have links in the description below to both Steam and the Bohemia site, because there are a couple of purchase options available, even though all of them require you to have a Steam account, and that's fine by me. I know a lot of people are pissy about that, but I'm fine with it. Steam has proven itself as a industry-leading platform, and it works just fine for me. Now, with that said, there are 3 packages you can get. There is a standard pack for $32.99 and a digital deluxe pack for $49.99, both available on Steam. Through the Bohemia site, there is a supporter edition, which gives more money to Bohemia. It literally is a supporter edition. There's a couple of benefits there: name in the credits, guaranteed future DLC content, forum badges, things like that, little perks that you might be interested in. You can check that out at the Bohemia link, again, in the description below. But if you think about it, the core package at $32.99 is going to get you alpha access, it's going to get you beta access, and then it's going to get you the full game once it's released later in the year. $32.99 for an ArmA title, that is ridiculous. Most of the time you're paying $49.99 base price, or you're paying upwards of $70 plus for some sort of digital deluxe or collector's edition, and you don't get anywhere near as much content. You might get 6 hours of a single-player storyline that's typically these days, when it comes to any shooter, pretty bad. And then you might get a handful of multiplayer levels that sometimes are just tacked on as extras, and you're lucky if you get more than 5 levels at times. So for $32, you're not only getting ArmA and whatever single player content it delivers, but you're going to get years of content through the simple fact that Bohemia has always believed in maintaining their mod community. You're going to have mod tools right off the bat, even through the alpha. You're going to have your mission and map editor. It's already in the alpha. You have access to the island of Stratus, which is huge. It's freaking huge, and it's not even the main continent of the game. The developers have said that what you see in this alpha is only about 15% of what is to be seen within the full game. 15%. With it 15%, there's more in here in this alpha test than there is in some of the games I've paid $60+ for. It's ridiculous. There's multiplayer in here too. This isn't some shoddy demo. This isn't some scheme to get your money. This is legitimate content. It's actually pretty polished, if I do say so myself. There's some issues here and there, and no, it's not as high performing as I would like it, but it's alpha, and it plays better than a lot of the games that are full-blown retail. Aliens, Colonial Marines. I mean, it's fantastic, and again, I can definitely recommend the purchase on this. Get in on that alpha, then the beta, then you're going to get the full game, and it'll have been worth every cent. But, you know, moving right along, let's talk about some of the changes that we can, of course, see here within this infantry showcase. Generally, the things that improve here, we have a real physics engine built into the game now, whereas last time it was just kind of... you're kind of just going off of the animation system, and there really wasn't a true-to-life physics. So it was really bad in some cases. You know, just seeing some of the bodies try to flop over and trying to drive or pilot different vehicles. Yeah. Considering the age of the game, I guess you can forgive it, but considering people are still playing it today, it was kind of rough around the edges. But with this title, you got your true physics. You've got drastically overhauled animation system with some brilliantly done motion capture. Am I going to say, you know, that's something to compete with, you know, Battlefield and even the Ghost Recon Future Soldier that I took a lot on? Nah, not really. I mean, it's a great, you know, touch. They've done some really good mocap, but in general, it makes me smile. I'm really happy to see what they've done with their motion capture, and it's completely something that I can live with for many years to come. And hopefully it'll just improve with time, and maybe they'll, you know, add things here and there. Who knows? But really pretty polished for something that's an alpha, even though they did have some delays over the years in regards to when we were supposed to see this alpha test. I believe it was supposed to be last summer. There were, of course, complications. They had 2 of their developers locked up in Greece for they were falsely accused of as espionage. Unfortunately, they were just trying to research for this game. So that was, of course, a sad affair. But I'm glad that that's been taken care of and that they are safely home. But you know, with that said, you've got your animations in here. They're just so much better. I mean, I don't have any third-person footage in this playthrough, but if you do activate third-person by hitting enter on the number pad, you will see that the animations are just top-notch. And you can, of course, see them from some of the AI. Although, I do have to complain that the AI isn't really all that improved. It's pretty much just as bad as it was in ArmA 2. Maybe it's a little better, but generally, they just tend to get in my way, and they don't take cover. They're pretty accurate, but otherwise, nothing to write home about in that department. I think the selling point to ArmA will be in regards to playing this multiplayer. So there is that, of course. As well as, of course, the general modding that you'll be able to do with the mission editor and whatnot. But beyond that, they've definitely improved the voice acting or voiceover capability in the game. The squad sergeant or commanders yell out things that seem a bit more natural. It's not perfect, but it's less robotic and a bit more flowing. So I do appreciate that. You know, that they've taken a look at that, and hopefully that can improve a little bit more over time. Some of the voice acting is inconsistent. For example, your character will switch from a guy who has an accent to a guy who is, you know, has an American accent. It's kind of strange to hear. I don't know what the deal was with that. Perhaps it's something that's just incomplete, but maybe it's a placeholder. Again, it is alpha. I'm not expecting any miracles here. Things are, of course, always subject to change. But there is that. Just in general, the user interface as well has been drastically improved. It's a lot cleaner, more modern, less cumbersome. The inventory, oh my goodness, the inventory is everything that I had requested many moons ago when I made, I think, certain DayZ videos. It's just drag and drop. It's simple. It works. You click on something, you see what's on your vest. It shows you right beneath it what's what's on the vest. You can drag it, you can drop it, you can drop it on the ground, you can pick it back up. It's so simple and easy, and I'll probably showcase it in a different video, but thank you so much for Bohemia for listening. I'm sure not to me, but to everybody who had requested just a regular working inventory that resembles what other games have had for years. So there's that. But one thing I suppose isn't amazingly jaw-dropping. The audio is better, I would say, than ArmA 2's core audio, but it's nothing to write home about, nothing amazing. It's okay. It definitely doesn't compete with the audio that you're going to get in a game like Battlefield 3. In some cases, I could say even the audio in Ghost Recon Future Soldier tends to rival what we have in here. So that's unfortunate. I know audio seems to be one of those things that's missed or overstepped in certain games for some reason. I don't know why. I guess it's just something that's hard to perhaps program or acquire. I don't know what really goes into it, but it's better. The guns sound beefier. They feel like they have more of a kick, but in some cases there are inconsistencies, especially certain things that I had heard from some of the vehicles. Some things sound like maybe they still just came from ArmA 2. I could, of course, forgive that because this is still alpha and things are always subject to change. I'm going to continue to say that because a lot of people don't get that this is an alpha and things will improve over time. But beyond that, generally, my biggest highlight comes into play when I talk about the control. I feel like I'm in control of my character, like I'm holding this gun, like when I turn and look around, like my head is attached to my body. I feel that you're one with your character, whereas in ArmA 2, I felt like it was an otherworldly experience. Like I wasn't really there. Like things just didn't feel right when I'm leaning, and it just, I don't know, it just almost, in a way, playing ArmA 2 felt better in third person than it did in first person, whereas in this game, first person is, of course, going to be the way to go 100% of the time, but it just feels better. You know, and it's really hard to explain. You know, some of the things I've mentioned in the past still hold true. It's just one of those things where you got to test it out for yourself to feel like, oh yeah, you know, this does feel better. When I wave my gun around, you know, I feel like it's actually me holding onto this thing versus just like some flimsy mannequin just kind of waving around this rifle. And I think it had to do with how they had implemented the model in first person, because really you didn't notice those things when you were playing like in a third person perspective. But so there's that. You know, a lot of great improvements, things that can still improve, of course. I plan to talk about more of these things in great detail in my next few videos, as well as discuss how to get the game to run at its best in its current state through your video card settings. I will probably look at that in the next video or two, so definitely stay tuned. But with that said, ladies and gentlemen, hopefully you enjoyed this brief primer to ArmA 3. I look forward to covering this game a lot more in great detail, so thank you so much for joining me. I'll see you on the next one.